Thanks for coming here.
Hey, thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? Good.
Can you talk about what do you think is the main themes of the new season?
I think that if season 2 is about the return of that, generation above you, your parents, Michael, Ansel, Esther, Dahlia, this is the season about the generation after you. The first vampires who were ever sired in history. The first time a vampire was ever made by Klaus. We want to explore that. The first vampire that Elijah ever turned. The first vampire that Rebecca ever turned. We want to see those sired vampires, and as we know, if any original dies, their entire sire line dies. So you have vampires that are 999 years old, and they're ancient and immortal and powerful and strong, but they know if a Michelson dies, they die. And how would they feel about that? They would have a definitive kind of perspective on not wanting to die. And perhaps we can also suggest that if there were any kind of conflict between the sire lines, there's 3 left, Rebecca's, Klaus's, and Elijah's. And if there were any kind of war or conflict or antagonistic relationship between the sire lines, it'd be pretty easy to wipe out an entire army of your enemies by killing one original. And so that's kind of one of the things that we want to explore this year. So what is it like when your sire, is in danger? How do you feel about that? And when one of your sired vampires returns, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is this an ally? Is this someone who is lying to your face and wants to do you harm? So that's what we get to play with this season. And unlike last season when it was a mother or a father or a brother, there's also any one of these returning sired vampires could also be a love interest. So there's also a great opportunity to play with romance and deceit and lies and all kinds of fun stuff.
And lots of new characters then as well?
Yes, we'll see 3, we've got Rebecca, Klaus, and Elijah, and we've got the Klaus line, the Elijah line, and the Rebecca line. So you could imagine at least 3 vampires that we'll be introducing. And I would say that's what we're trying to do, is to double down on this season being a story of vampires, where we've straddled the line with werewolf storylines and witch storylines. We'll still have that, but we really want to, get back to vampires at the core.
Would you say then that for season 3 that I guess the kind of vampire threat is maybe the major threat this season versus because at the end of season 2 you see Davina kind of taking over the council and she's obviously arch enemies with Michelson's. So could there be a team up of sort, or is this more just it's going to be kind of going from different people, like different areas, but it's all against maybe Klaus and Elijah?
I think that there's a definite threat from Davina and the witches. And, especially in episode 2, we're going to see how that threat might pay out. But Davina is a young regent. It's like being elected queen at the age of 18. And one of the things that she will want to do is figure out a way to bring peace for her people. If you're President Obama, you don't declare war knowing that you're sending soldiers off to die. Davina will take very seriously her responsibility as a leader. And so she may find herself in a position where she has to broker a peace. But perhaps those new vampires who have come to town will have a perspective on Davina and say, you could be a great ally to us. And maybe there's some things that we could give you if you will join forces with us. And I promise you, if you do and we eliminate the Michelsons, maybe there's no need for vampires in New Orleans anymore. So she's going to find herself in a difficult position, especially when you remember that she's connected to Marcel and to Josh, and there are vampires that she likes and considers her friend.
Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
About
Your character?
which character? Oh, I'm not an actor. Yeah, I'm one of the writers. Oh, that's okay.
So where do you want the show to go, beyond? Do you want to do any more crossovers with the original Vampire Diaries?
Well, we have, we've talked about crossovers a few times in the room, and the thing that gets me really excited is where we've talked about where we want this season to end. We kind of want to build to a very interesting place where you're not going to know really if this family is going to be able to stay together and survive, and if you can trust any one of your allies, any one of the vampires that you have sired. Some of them will be honest and come back with a desire to protect you, to protect themselves. Others may come back claiming one thing and wanting something else, so there's going to be a lot of who do I trust, what's going on, and I think ultimately the idea that someone like Freya, someone like Marcel, Someone like Vincent, who also is still the vehicle for the brother Finn, who we may see return at some point. These characters are in a very dangerous place. I would say it's possible that not everybody is going to make it through the season alive, and even our core Michelson family, our originals, may find themselves in a place where they're taken down and buried alive or buried at sea, and some of them may be removed forever. And that's kind of the threat level, and we have an idea for a season ender where if we are able to achieve this, it would be a complete paradigm shift in the show, and things would be just completely different going into season 4. We've talked about it a lot. We're really excited about it, and that's kind of where we're aiming for.
Like something they did
With Silas, I don't know if I would relate it to what they did with Silas, but it's the kind of thing where if you think of the family right now as Klaus, Elijah, Rebecca, and Freya, would we perhaps change that lineup? And would we perhaps jump forward in time a little bit so that, we might be able to explore what these people would look like if they were separated and what would happen if they were completely betrayed by the family that they thought that they could trust always and forever.
With the sired line of vampires coming back, does Hope present a weakness to Klaus? Because that's one more way to get at him.
Yeah, I think that she's definitely low-hanging fruit in terms of being a vulnerable spot and in terms of being potential collateral, so they definitely have to protect Hope. Although I wouldn't suggest that this is the season where we're going to play with Baby Hope as the hot potato, like everybody's trying to get Baby Hope. In a way, Hope is something brand new because she is not sired, yet she has vampire blood in her system. And so one of the questions becomes, well, Haley was made a hybrid by her baby's blood. So who is Haley sired to? And are we ever going to explore the idea that Haley is outside the boundary of those 3 sire lines? And does that make her particularly dangerous or a new threat or someone who can stop what is happening? So Haley may find herself at the center of this in a very cool way.
You mentioned time shifts. Will there be flashbacks?
Absolutely. There's flashbacks in the first episode back that are among my favorite flashbacks we've ever done.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
And Phoebe also said that it's a sexier season.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think, Esther is a great villain, but you can't have relations, with your mother. You can't have relations with your brothers. You can't have relations with long-lost Freya, who has arrived. But these sired vampires, absolutely, it's on the table that these, returning vampires could be potential. If there are any dangerous women coming back, are those potential love interests for Klaus and Elijah? Are any dangerous men coming back? Are they potential love interests for Rebecca or, anybody else? So there's really some fun stuff coming up in the romance department.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Sorry, guys.
For Josh, right?
And for Josh, absolutely. Actually, that's a great question. Yes.